Willie Jennings says of this passage, this chapter is the pivot, the turn that makes intelligible everything before it and after it. So as you read this passage this morning, pay careful attention to what is happening here in this revolution of the Spirit as it develops across boundaries of relationship that were once closed. There are two figures in this passage who are invited into relationships that are opened up to them by this revolution of the Spirit, relationships that they had never considered to be open to them before. First, there's Cornelius. He's a Roman, a representative of the empire. He's a powerful man who controls soldiers and slaves, and who was, perhaps quite paradoxically, a man of deep devotion to the faith of Israel. Even though he probably practiced this faith alone in his household, not connected to the worshiping communities of Israel. But he was sent by a messenger to search for Peter. He had to trust that this vision that emerged for him out of this life of faithfulness was a vision for him to follow, and he had to devote himself and his resources to looking for a man that he had probably never heard of. And then there's another figure here, a pivotal character in this drama of Acts. There's Peter, the faithful disciple, who has another kind of vision, a vision of boundary crossing in relationship. That isn't always how we look at this passage, but it's interesting if you see it in a perspective that is not colored by the capitalistic, consumptive view of animals as natural resources. Jennings is really helpful in pointing us to older perspectives on relationships with animals, perspectives that you might be familiar with in some of the traditions of Native Americans, for example. Ways of relating to animals as extensions of one's own human family. And you are related to the particular animals in your geographic region in a way that they are a part of you as much as you are a part of them. And consuming an animal, eating an animal, isn't killing and eating a natural resource that is put there for your consumption. It is sharing in the mutuality of that animal's relationship to you. And there are particular spiritual, religious, relational, ceremonial ways of marking that relationship. So look at this passage in light of that kind of perspective. Peter is invited by this cosmic sheet coming down from the heavens, full of all of the animals, some of which he is very intimately related to through his tradition of eating, and some of them he is quite repulsed by because they are not a part of the relational sphere of his world. But all of the animals contained in this cosmic sheet coming down from the heavens, and the invitation to him is to relate to all of them, not as resources for his consumption as we might think of animals, but as more than human participants in his world that is now expanding far beyond the boundaries that that world has contained him in for some time now. Now, as we close this little vignette here and get you into the reading today, I want you to note a really important aspect of this passage. Both of these figures, Cornelius, the Roman centurion, Peter, the faithful disciple, both of them received visions and their new mission of expansive relationality as they were in prayer. The messenger says to Cornelius, "Your prayers and your alms have ascended as a memorial before God." And then to Peter, it was when he went onto the roof of the tanner's house to pray and became hungry that he fell into a trance and received his vision. Prayer is the cornerstone of this pivotal text in this book of the church, learning how to become the church. Now, what are we to take from that this morning?